Hey, beautiful people. Wow. This is your host, Lakita, and we are excited to be coming to you on today for our Faith Focus Friday. I'm so sorry. Tell you where my head is at. Not no Faith Focus Friday. We're on Mental Monday. So let's start that over again. Mental Monday with your host, Lakita Long, and we're so excited for each and every last one of you. I see my brother, Minister Jamond Williams. Mwah! Kudos to you. God bless you. My brother, Joseph Perry from Washington State. Tiffany Francis, blessings to you. We are excited. It's going to be a great episode on today. And let me just grab my little notes. I'm in my office. It's been, hey, good evening. Yes, indeed. I'm trying to get it in before our Warriors game, which starts at 6 o'clock. We've been in meetings all day today, but I'm going to tell you that our conversation that we're going to have on our wellness report on Wednesday is going to be prolific. It's going to talk about the art of comeback. But I want to be able to share some things about mental scars and the wars that we have because of the secrets that we keep. And this is our part two. And from last week, I got so much feedback from people last week that I thought that we needed to make sure that we were doing everything we could to be our best in terms of providing a place where we can just just share real right now information. And so people have made sure that we are doing that. We are excited. Hey, I see some more folks joining us. Elisha, who else? My brother Edward. Hey, how you doing? Yes, good evening. Manette, Linda, blessings to you. We are so excited to have you on our Mental Monday show. Awesome. So I'm going to be able to be hands-free. I love when I'm in my office being able to do it. And we are just excited about it. And we're just going to do a couple more minutes and then we're just going to jam right into it. Let's see. There was one sort of thing that I had wanted to share. Oh, yes. I'll be sharing the report tonight about the results of my poll question that I asked from last Monday around the topic of sex, because one of the main things that came out of our topic from last week was about the mental secrets that we keep. And so we're going to go into it. How you doing, my sister Elijah? Yes, I love you so much. I'm like, I think I've had 3-4 hours of sleep. But it's been good, right? It's been good. And y'all know when y'all see this hair, that means we were not able to get to the hair salon. And so it's all good. It is all good. My sister Sonia, blessings to you so much. Catherine Boyd, I see that you're on with us. God bless you. God bless you. Hey, well, let's go on and get started because it's just a powerful topic offhand. And we just kind of want to get as much information in as possible. So for those that do not know me, my name is Lakita Long, and I am known to some people as the People's Therapist. I'm also known as the Marketplace Evangelist, and every Monday I come on live Facebook and I share information that is pertinent with real issues, and hopefully that it will provide real solutions in real time. Oftentimes, as people, we have situations going on in our life, and they are real staggering situations mentally, and they stifle us in every other area in our life. And so Mental Monday did not just start when we launched this television sort of precast show last year, but it actually is something that I started a couple of years ago by way of blog. So if you look at any of my blogs, lakitalong.org, if you go there, I also had a talk show blog talk radio show back in 2014, and I did a multiple amount of Mental Monday stuff. So this thing has been churning in my spirit for some time, and now we're going full-fledged. Just by way of observation, want to let you know that we are going to be doing Mental Health in the Church Symposium this year in the month of May. Woo! So excited, and we're just finalizing the place, but it is going to be in Berkeley, I believe, and it's going to be fantastic. So you and your leaders from your churches and things of that nature, and or your organization, if you want to know how to effectively work with those of the faith-based community, you should definitely be coming to that Mental Health in the Church Symposium that will be happening in May. So with that being said, I see my dear sister Danisha Clark. Hey, my sister, blessings to you. Super duper excited. Let's get started. So last week we talked about mental wars, and we talked about the secrets that we have on the inside of us that create these sort of mental scars, and they create mental scars because we've had to hold information that was a direct opposition of our reality. So for example, we sort of talked about the whole situation when you're a young person, you may be 8 or 9 years old, and a family member, which is called incest, actually violates you sexually, whether they allowed you to touch their genitals, whether I'm a girl and I had to touch an uncle's penis or something of that nature. That is a form of incest, when there is this sort of relationship that is happening by way of sexual contact, okay? And so we talked about that. We brought that up. That was just one of the things that we talked about as a mental secret, something that actually happened to you, but you were forced into secrecy to not share with someone else. And for all intents and purposes, most people were also made to not share it with them own selves. So they had to hide the secret for themselves, which is why some people, I believe, it's just my belief, have had this sort of internal nervous breakdown, They're functioning just like a functioning addict or a functioning alcoholic. They function, they drink all throughout the day, and they go to work for 8 or 9 hours, but they're functioning addicts. And the same is true, I believe, when those of us who have had to hold mental secrets inside of us for long periods of time without any way of escape. We have had to incur mental scars from it. And hence, because of those mental scars, we've created mass mental wars on the inside, constantly warring against the very nature. For example, I got a ton of inboxes from men who said they identified with the story that I gave. If you are a boy and, a woman family member in your family made you, suck her breast and do those kinds of things. Maybe you were 8 or 10 years old and she said, come on over here, pretty boy, and suck my breast. And so you did it. And of course she got aroused because she was, sick in that way to be aroused. But you're 10, so you've been violated. And what happens is you were taught, told, and or forced to never speak of it. But what happens when we have those kind of mental secrets is they come out in our behavior. It comes out in our inability to communicate to someone that we may truly love, or even how to express yourself in a sexual way, non-sexual way. It flows in our money situation, how we think, the whole gamut. And so when I put that story out last week, I got a lot of inboxes from men stating, thank you for being bold and handling it sensitively. It was an eye-opener for them. They ended up saying that it's making them have to deal with the secret that they have dealt with their whole life. Like no one knows about it, but it's making them come to the realization that they need to deal with it no matter what. And all Mental Mondays are about, for me, is for you to have an aha moment with your own soul so that your mind can get free and you can utilize your energy to build up mental stamina rather than exerting your mental energy for stuff that has nothing to do with purpose, life assignment, and or destiny. Most people may not agree, but I absolutely loved Sigmund Freud. I studied his whole life. He was one of many psychologists, and he was actually a psychiatrist as well. And he became known as the father of psychoanalysis or analysis. And his whole concept, was based upon the whole notion that if a child's understanding sexually is not well, or if they don't have a good beginning portion in their life, it's going to affect them sexually. And then their sexual misinterpretation is going to affect other areas. And I can really say that how you and I were introduced to things like sex, or introduced to things like money, it impacts us sincerely. It impacts the way that we move. Henceforth, we have all of these mental wars going on. So to sort of bring you up to speed about this sort of mental war, I wanted to share the difference between this whole concept of being private versus having a secret. Now, privacy is one thing, whether I don't share certain things about, my love life, I'm being private, I'm being discretionary about that aspect of my life, right? But a secret is if me and another person knows that I love a certain someone, for example. I'm just giving an example, but it's a forbidden relationship. Maybe it's the head of a Ku Klux Klan or something of that nature. So that would be a secret. If I'm in love with the head of the Ku Klux Klan, and we see all the egregious things that, people that have that kind of title do to people that look like me. So that would be a secret, that I would hold it. And you cannot tell me that if I had that kind of a secret, being in love with the Ku Klux Klan member, that it would not cause a split within me, that it would not create a mental war on the inside. It absolutely would, because I wouldn't be able to explain away how I can be in love with someone who represents something that is so egregious, terrible, and absolutely, to some aspects hideous. He himself may not be, if this was the story, I'm just giving an example, and it's fictitious, okay? But to stand behind an organization that does believe that, says that some part of you aligns with that. And this is what happens when you and I hold on to mental secrets. Maybe you had a mental secret that you had a friend who got an abortion, and you were the person that knew about it, and you knew that the abortion came because of a well-known pastor in the area, and you never told anybody. It's a secret, but also because of the secret that your friend had to keep about getting this abortion when they were teenagers, and I'm totally making this up also, it's fictitious, but your friend went crazy because of it, right? And so you're the only one with the secret of knowing that she had an abortion from a well-known pastor or preacher when she was younger, and that she went crazy as a result of it. So her life was never normal thereafter. So now you hold two secrets, and that is a lot for someone to deal with. And what I want to help you today, I'm hoping, and to inspire you to do, is to not make the decision to hold on to any secrets. And what I mean by that, you don't just go out blabbing things, because people entrust us with a lot of information. Like, I'm going to be going to my grave with a lot of information. There's some things I don't even write in my journals or notebooks, and other things that I do write in my journal and notebooks, when people reach out to me, it is so heavily coded, you would know what was going on. But I do, right? I do, because I hold that information so private, because I want to be the best at what I'm called to do, which is to bridge psychological concepts and biblical principles together and help people make sense of their life. And if people can't trust me, then they won't come to me, and they won't get the assistance that they need. And right now, there is in the atmosphere, there's in this realm right now where people are unraveling at the seams. I'm in meetings, and people are in the marketplace moving and shaking. And you can see the great disparity, where there's some that are just really, really healthy, right? There's some people that are very, very healthy. And but you can see others that are just not. Their tone deflects that they're not healthy. And it could be just because of the politics going on or something else happening in their life. What I want to share with you that I need to get across, and the importance of it, is this is the time and this is the year that you are going to have to make a decision that I'm not going to keep holding the fact that I was gang raped, if that's your story, by my cousins. That's a real situation. right? It's a real situation. You might not be able to tell anybody else, but you better go sit on a shrink's couch or something. Because that stuff festers, and I do believe that the extra stress of holding secrets inside of our bodies is creating sickness. I did a study. I wasn't trying to do a study, but my body required that I look at my body and everything that was going on in my body in a different way. Several years ago, I had lost 50 pounds in 2011. It was at the height of just, getting divorced. And so you make all these decrees about what you're going to do. But I really hadn't dealt with all the things that I had to experience going through the marriage and stuff that was so humiliating, to me. And so I just kept going. And then one day it came to me that I am still grieving for some of the things I walked through, and I could not shake. There's just some things when you believe and when you know that you should have never been there. Yes, God, I don't know if God allows it. That's just me. Another topic. I don't know if God allows some stuff that we walk through. He does make it for our good. But I don't know if some stuff just permissibly happens because we just are outside of God's will at the time and we don't do what we could have, because lots of times we've been warned, right? That's just me. I felt like I was warned in some areas and I didn't have the courage and the strength to actually take heed to the warning. And so I endured a lot of emotional injury, right? And a lot of emotional wounds. In that process, the secrecy of knowing that, oh my God, here I am, this domestic violence trainer, facilitator, certified, going around, freeing people. I myself was a DV victim, right? Verbally domestic violence. It doesn't matter how you cut it. If you are a victim, you are a victim. And because I've never seen myself in a victim mode, I tried to superwoman the whole thing. And it doesn't work when you have to sit with yourself in the dark. And this is the part that I had to come to grips with about 5.5, 6 years ago, that until I was honest with my own soul, until I was willing not to let that secrecy of being in that way devour me, I was not going to get over the fact that I stayed like sick almost, it looked like a whole year. And I found out that it wasn't that I was necessarily sick. My immune system was so heavily compromised that dust and anything else, I was sick. And people was like, you still got a cold? And it wasn't that. I gained weight, 35 more pounds back. And it's because of the secrecy of not trying to have that level of a testimony, because it wasn't something that really should have been a part of it, right? It happened because I was already winning people and helping people that were victimized. And I was great at doing it. So I didn't have to walk through that place in order to have that ability to be impactful and influential. Nevertheless, I learned a very, very, very powerful lesson, that if we do not get true about the mental secrets that we have harvested inside of our souls, we were going to deal with major mental scars, and we were going to have continuous mental wars. And some of the wars, some of us were not going to win. So henceforth, I got off that bandwagon fairly quick and began to really look at what is it about us, you and I, that do not want to face the reality of where we know our spirit, our soul, our mind, and our physical body is in the moment. And why are we not wanting to live in that healthy space long enough for us to be our best selves? And here's what I came to grips with, and I came to terms to understand, that in our lives, and you guys know this already, but we have this conscious and we have this unconscious life, and then we also have the subconscious. And so we have these three parts always working. And so in a part of those three areas, the subconscious or the conscious part, where we have this we want to censor. The unconscious is that we know it happened, But we want to sort of censor that it happened, right? So we're going to do whatever we can. And what that ends up turning out to be becoming is a term called repression. And repression is the social phenomenon that we want so that others are not aware of what we're either currently in or what we just got out of. So, for example, people are not trying to keep secrets for themselves. They're actually trying to keep secrets so that others do not know about it. But what happens is that it's very difficult to want to be an authentic person and live in the nowness of being free with who you totally are when you have secrets that are binding you to where you've been. So when you have secrets that bind you where you've been, it is difficult. It is, and I would challenge anyone, it is difficult to be fully in your authentic, most humane place, space, and opportunity to be able to be sound, or at least to be able to be whole. And my job, I believe, as a spokesperson, both for the kingdom of God as well as those that God allows me to work in the marketplace, is to awaken your spirit to everything that's been a lie. I have to do it for myself. So, hey, it's one person to another. Awaken up your spirit to everything that's a lie. Let me give you another example. We had at our Black History Show program at our church, that was one of two that we had. Our next one is going to be February the 24th. Join us. It's a Friday, and it's going to be at 7 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. The first one, which was last night, was phenomenal. We had community people and speakers come from all over to talk to us about a variety of different topics. The new Jim Crow, we talked about incarceration. It was powerful, powerful. But one of the things that one of the speakers had spoke on, she came from the organization Building Futures, and that talks about homelessness, sheltering, as well as domestic violence. And as she talked about the cycle of violence and this, that, and the other, it became very, very important to me to listen in on what happens. And I really sat there and I said to myself, we're in this cycle of violence and cycle of victimization because no one wants to be true about where the heck they are. And until you get true about where you are, you will never be free from where you've been. Okay? Because in Christ, we're new creatures. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things become new. That is the definition of newness, right? It is the absolute epitome of being new. But if you're still looking back, if you're still holding on to, or if it's still a part of the dominant aspect of who you are, you will be just like Lot's wife when they were told, don't look back, just run and keep running until we get to the mountain where we need to go. What did Sister Lot do? Sister Lot turned back and she turned to a pillar of salt. And when I read that text and when I read the studying of the Word of God in Genesis, and I think about the whole thing about secrecy, I think she looked back because she wanted to see how, there's a lot of things that went on in that place. There's a lot of things she held truth in that place. And so her looking back could have been a variety of different reasons. But what it ended up showing us is the saltiness of who she became. She was already that. So because she didn't do what she needed to do, she turned to a pillar of salt. And many of us have turned to a pillar of salt in the fact that we are either become extraordinarily bitter, angry, repressive, rigid, judgmental, hard, all of the things that does not characterize what I think is a person that wants to be a healthy individual. Definitely not a woman that wants to be healthy in who she is. And so I bring this to us because we live under such the falsity and the alternative rights. We've seen what's been going on in the media, alternative truth and all of that. Whatever is a lie, it's a lie. Whatever is true is true. And if you hold an untruth inside of your soul, it will gnaw at you until you turn the truth turn the lie into the truth that it needs to be. And I'm hoping that as you're listening, that you're listening with your heart and your spirit and your ears. And I know, now watch this so that we're real clear, that some secrets that you've had to endure, will totally mess up other people, right? And so I get that. What I'm really talking about is not even about the letting go of the secrets or the sharing about the secrets. What I want you to do is the revealing of the truth within the secret so your soul can be free. That's a whole different process, because you can reveal the truth about the secret to yourself, to your soul, and with someone that can really help you to identify it without bringing down a whole nation of people, right? But you can tell your truth. You can tell your truth to the man that you say you love. You know what? You know why I'm rigid? Do you know why I don't give you sex? I'm talking about marital relationships, right? You know why I don't give you sex? I'll be really sexy for you and freakish with you for 2 nights of the week, and then the next 5 days I'm not, and I hold you hostage and don't give you any sex, and you're my husband of 10 years. You know why I can do that? Because I was raped. Some of you, your husbands don't even know that you're raped. So he's tripping out like, what's going on with her? She doesn't give me sex. And do you know how many sexless marriages there are? I mean, there's so many, and especially in the church. We don't even talk about that. But the secrecy of not sharing with your spouse that you were raped when you were 14, it has a huge impact on your ability to trust him. And some of you say, oh, I trust my husband. No, you don't. It shows up in your disrespect and in your language and the posture that you have towards your husband. I'm telling you, I know. I see it, and you can even read through it on the post. So I'm sharing with you that there is a way to deal with the secrecy of the pain of your past without trying to out someone for what they did 40 years ago. But you do need to get free from the secrecy that keeps holding you tied to that thing, whatever that secrecy is. Or you will run the risk, and this is very true, you will run the risk of having these constant mental wars that I don't think are supposed to be a part of the thorn in your flesh. There are some things, I get it, that we're just going to have to deal with. And I've gravitated towards the fact there's some things I might have to. But when I really get down to some things and I really want to be whole and I really want to have a level of healing in my life, things that I thought I couldn't get over, the Lord says you don't want to. You don't want to. And so I was like, whoa. So I had to come from a different perspective. And this is what I'm sharing with you. Come from a different perspective. There's too much help in the world. There's too much help around you for you to have the kind of mental wars that's literally causing you depression and becoming manic and the panic attacks throughout the week and isolated and victimized day in and day out because of the mental wars that you have going on as a result of the mental secrets that you had to hold to. And so it's a very sensitive topic because I realized something else too. Where would you really go to talk about this stuff without being looked upon as something, crazy or whatever, or people just looking at you in some kind of way? Here is the best thought process that I can give you. I hate when I see people 70, 90 pounds overweight, and I know it's because there's a stress factor in their life. And there's an outside stress factor in their life. And it is eating them up internally. And so that now has become a mental secret. Okay, I'll give you a prime example. The lady at the Black History Community Program that we had yesterday, she said that the guy said, the chaplain, he said what the courts have not caught up to is the amount of domestic violence against men by women. And I totally know that's true. Sometimes I'm scrolling through Facebook and I'm scrolling through different things and I can look on a man's face and see the discontentment that he has. And I know that it's not just a discontentment because of everyday issues that he has because he's a man. There's a discontentment, because I'm also discerning and I'm also a praying person, and because I care for people's soul in terms of wellness, spiritual, wholeness, emotional, I see, I'm like, whoa, you can see the anguish that's coming from their spouse. And so there is a lot of mental secrets, because what is a man going to do? Who is he going to tell? He ain't going to go tell his pastor, oh, my wife is battering me. He ain't going to go tell his job, I need to do employee assistance program and counseling because my wife is, got rageful fits. He ain't saying that. he's going to try to deal with it as best as he can before he breaks all the way down. The same is also true and have been true for women, which is why I'm just highlighting men just for a moment, because we know that women have been battered in relationships. We understand that. But I have always believed and known it and seen it since I was a kid that women also batter men. Women batter men, and it creates a lot of mental scars inside of men. As a matter of fact, the way that a mother talks to their son when they're young really sets the tone for how he processes in his head, not just how he's going to treat a woman, but how he's going to figure that woman to be, what she's going to be for him, and how he wants to deal with that woman. It's powerful, you guys. And I only know this because I've done lots and lots and lots and lots of counseling sessions with men and women. And my first real collegiate teaching assignment for the first 3 years was San Quentin, Santa Rita, when I was a professor. And to watch over those 3 years more than 750 men and women, primarily 90% were men, going through their exchange program at Santa Rita out there in San Jose. When you got to the base of the story, they were battered. And you say, there's no excuse for them to be what they were, but it has a lot to do with their psychological makeup. And if they did not or were not able to unlearn those things, just think about the wars you deal with. And through the grace of God, you cope and you have some level of coping skills. We're talking about some folks that had no coping skills to deal with the mental wars that you deal with through prayer or whatever the case may be. So what am I saying in short? I'm saying that if you want to alleviate the mental wars from being all out fatal situations, you're going to have to really bring forward the mental secrets that you've had to hold. And you're going to have to find a safe place within yourself and make a decision that I cannot continue to keep holding this secret in. It will kill me. And find that professional person and make them available, or really cry out to God and really apply a structured way of being so that you become your best. You become your best. And let me share something else. Sometimes those mental secrets are also a part of the I knew I shouldn't have, but I did anyway kind of conversations that you had. You're going to have to let those conversations go. And I'm only speaking from my experience. I know I held on to the fact that, there were certain things that I did and I said, I should have never done that, because the repercussions of those decisions were years in the making for me coming out of it, right? So our minds kind of stores up those traumatic situations and reminds us and rehearses where we've been. But you've got to get strengthened and healthy in your mental faculty to get a grip and say, but I will myself to be well mentally. I will myself to be well mentally. I will not be emotionally broken. And let me share something that I did the other day. I was driving, and I'm always thinking about things. And the thought came to me as I was thinking and preparing for this particular talk. The thought came to me like, oh my God, there's remnants of this in my life that shows up in this area. Oh my God. And I said, I've got to deal with it. So I began to deal with this area because you can make this sort of prostitutional-like exchange and not know that people dealt with you like that growing up. And so then people see you that way, and then you're like seen in a way that's really not you. And so I was talking to God, and then when I was finished talking to God, something happened. I made this declaration. I said, soul, I'm sorry for allowing those mental secrets to hold a certain area of your ability to make me thrive. Mind, I'm sorry that I allow, and I begin to repent and repent to myself. I begin to ask my own self to give its own forgiveness, because we say forgive other people, but the one person we don't ask for forgiveness is ourselves. So I begin to say, heart, I'm sorry that I put you in a very bad situation by making a decision to be in that relationship or to do that thing. And do you know that was the most freeing thing that I could have ever done? In my 42 years, I have never felt as free as I have felt ever before. There's a freedom that I cannot explain, but I pray is transferred through the information that I give, that you have to forgive yourself from all the mental secrets. You've got to forgive yourself. You've got to trust yourself again in those areas, and you've got to believe that it will not go unnoticed. It will not go unnoticed, and that everything really does work for your good. But today is a great day to decide, I don't want to keep having that mental war. I don't want to keep dealing with that situation. So I have to step outside of myself and get the help that I need. So I pray that this Mental Monday is a reminder to you of how much you matter. You matter to us, you matter to those around you, but the first person that you have to matter to is yourself. And when I ask myself to forgive myself for all the many things that I've done to myself, it was the most freeing thing ever. Ever, ever, ever. So I pray that today on this Mental Monday, your host, Lakita Long, and your friend and people's therapist was able to get something across to you about how you change the way mental wars has an impact on your life. It doesn't have to. You have to make the decision today. I stop today and make the decision, no more. No more. And I'm telling you, it's going to be the best time of your life. I pray that it's been a blessing. I love you. Share it with somebody if you think it's been a great thing. And until our next Mental Monday on next week. God bless you. Bye.